Long before the MCU began, it wouldn't have been crazy to call the spectacular Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk one of the greatest and most well-known duos in Marvel Comics. And until the announcement of Spider-Man Brand New Day, we've never seen the two together on the big screen. So, with the anticipation of Brand New Day, I thought what better time to pin these two legends against each other than now. Both Spider-Man and the Hulk were actually created in the same year, that being 1962, although they wouldn't officially cross paths until 2 years later in Stan Lee's The Amazing Spider-Man run. Coincidentally, in this issue, their first interaction was actually a fight due to Green Goblin, also being introduced for the first time ever in this comic. The outcome of this fight would result in a win for a fresh Peter Parker, although that was over 60 years ago and plenty has changed. Fast forward to modern day and we're introduced to the MCU. Throughout nearly 2 decades of the MCU, Spider-Man and the Hulk have yet to share one on-screen interaction, making this video pretty difficult to scale. So, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to like and subscribe. The Hulk's first introduction in the MCU is obviously with his own movie, The Incredible Hulk, made in 2008. If you don't already know the story, essentially a middle-aged scientist by the name of Bruce Banner working for the US military is caught in a gamma radiation bomb created by Bruce himself, turning him into the Hulk we know and love today. Throughout the MCU, the Hulk shows many impressive feats, one of them being the Sokovian Blast. The Sokovian Blast was an event started by Ultron, where the capital city of Sokovia, a fictional country in the MCU, is lifted into the air and thrown into the Earth in an asteroid-like manner. To prevent the city from hitting the Earth, Thor purposely exploded the city before it could hit the ground, spreading out the blast radius, saving thousands of lives. In this scene, we clearly see Iron Man essentially point-blank tank the explosion. We can relate this to the Hulk when we consider that Hulk is, at the time of Age of Ultron, stronger than Iron Man. We know this as, up until this point, nothing Iron Man had in his arsenal was stronger than the Hulk, aside from the Hulkbuster, a distinctive suit specifically made to counter the Hulk. This essentially means that the Hulk would have been able to tank the explosion and potentially more. If we take the Sokovian Blast at city level, we can therefore equip this title to the Hulk, giving him city-level durability. On the other hand, we have Spider-Man, whose story I'm hoping you know by now. A nerdy teenager by the name Peter Parker is bitten by a radioactive spider, giving him arachnid-like powers. After witnessing the death of his Uncle Ben, which Peter indirectly causes, he adopts the secret identity of Spider-Man, vowing to protect the innocent lives of his city. In Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies, we're able to see—
But I thought you just said the MCU. You just said Sam Raimi.
Well, you would be correct. While it's true the 3 Spider-Man aren't exact equals of each other, we're able to call them relative in power, as they all share similar feats. If that's something you would want to hear more about, I could upload a video discussing it more in depth. So, if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments. Now that we've discussed that and moved it to the side, let me continue. In the Sam Raimi movies, the Green Goblin refers to Peter Parker as all but invincible to his attacks. This means by definition that Peter Parker is at least insanely close to any of the Green Goblin utilities. Although, if you don't want to take my word for it, we can look at it together. Specifically in Spider-Man 2002, we clearly witnessed Spider-Man tank a pumpkin bomb explosion at point-blank range, in which Spider-Man walks essentially scot-free with little to no damage done. This feat becomes so impressive when you consider that earlier in that same movie, these same blasts were able to vaporize 6 different civilians in less than a second. With the work done, which I can link to in the description, we can scale the blast from these pumpkin bombs to roughly city level. And since Spider-Man was able to tank that at an even closer range, we can scale him to at least the same level of the Hulk. In Thor Ragnarok, the Hulk was able to jump from the Rainbow Bridge to Surtur's head in roughly 3 seconds. And with Surtur being 4 kilometers tall, this alone places him at least subsonic levels of travel speed. The Hulk is also able to clap his hands fast enough to create sonic booms and was able to keep up with the pre-awakened Thor, making his combat and/or reaction speed even greater. Meanwhile, Spider-Man was able to actively outrun variants of Captain America and Black Widow. Not only that, we see Spider-Man react to and dodge meteorites brought down by Thanos in Avengers Infinity War. So, while Spider-Man's pure travel speed is slightly slower, although not by much, his insane reaction speed is undoubtedly able to counter that. Not only that, Peter was also able to dodge lightning-based attacks from Electro while also mentally processing said attacks in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. The spider sense that Peter holds is one of the most impressive things in the MCU in general, scaling his reaction abilities above every single Avenger. In the first Avengers movie, the Hulk was able to stop a Leviathan with a singular punch in the Shatiri invasion, along with causing direct damage to the Leviathan itself. While doing research, I found a statement from the writer in which he claims that the Leviathan weighs up to 3 million tons. Although this was a quick guess from the writer, which seems to be very unlikely, with a better estimation being close to 10,000 tons. With how fast it was traveling, passing cars, and even keeping up with Iron Man himself, the idea that Hulk was able to stop this with a simple punch easily places his strength at least building level. Although most likely being closer to City Block. Unfortunately for the Hulk, he's pretty underutilized, and finding scales for him is often pretty difficult, although when looking at Spider-Man, we can almost say the opposite. Starting off with probably the most infamous feat for Tom Holland's Spider-Man was when he held the cruise ship together in Spider-Man Homecoming. The real-life ship that this scene uses weighs roughly 3,000 tons, and with the force of the ship falling over apart from each side, this feat stands impressive, although I have a better feat. In Avengers Infinity War, during the initial fight between Iron Man and Cole Obsidian near the start of the movie, Spider-Man was able to casually stop a full-strength attack from Cole, blocking the attack. While Spider-Man was almost immediately picked up and thrown away, this was only because he let his guard down, striking a conversation with Tony. Now, if we take into consideration that in Avengers Infinity War, this same Cole was able to easily counter and defeat the Hulkbuster, a suit designed specifically to counter the Hulk. Although easily stopped by Spider-Man, we can therefore scale Spider-Man's strength above the Hulk. Moving on, I want to cover intelligence, and luckily for Bruce, this is in 2012. The last iteration we've seen of the Hulk was in She-Hulk, meaning we're still in the Smart Hulk phase. So, while initially this topic would have been over already, we're actually given a pretty interesting and close matchup between the two. Arguably, Spider-Man's most impressive intelligent feat was being able to calculate and fully comprehend the rules of an entirely new and different dimension. This is seen in Spider-Man No Way Home when Doctor Strange transports the two of them to the mirror dimension. Peter, while fighting Doctor Strange, was able to understand the rules of the mirror dimension and then outsmart Strange in a universe in which he controls. This feat not only shows the quick thinking that Peter holds, but also the insane battle IQ and intellect he has. On a smaller scale, Peter uses many forms of math to swing with precision on the fly. He was also able to, with the help of other Peters, develop cures for the villains in the span of a couple hours, as seen in Spider-Man No Way Home. On the other side, you have the Hulk, who is currently equal, if not more intelligent compared to his human counterpart, Bruce Banner. Bruce was originally hired by the US Army to develop a recreation of the super serum which gave Steve Rogers his powers. Although his experiment would ultimately fail, we still know that Bruce was smart enough to lead an entire program for the government under one of the most important projects of all time. Bruce is also in hold of 7 PhDs and was even stated by Tony Stark himself to know bioorganics better than anyone. Not only that, he created the Nano Gauntlet, essentially a copycat device of the Infinity Gauntlet for Tony. Despite all these impressive feats, none of them seem to directly relate to battle IQ, so in the case of a battle, these don't help him nearly as much. All in all, while I think this matchup would be pretty close, Spider-Man just has the upper hand in nearly every aspect. And even in the case of physical speed, Peter holds a level of precognition that the Hulk simply lacks, with the gap in speed being too close to fully counter the spider sense. Spider-Man would simply find a way to outsmart Bruce, ultimately declaring him the winner of this battle. So, yeah. I had a lot of fun making this video, and if you disagree, feel free to discuss it in the comment section. Although, just know you'll be proven wrong. But if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, as I'm a small channel and it would help a lot. Thank you.